Hello, everyone. This is Adam Weinberg with the State Water Resources Control Board Division of Water Rights. Today I'm here with you for a tutorial on the Scott Shasta Health and Safety Needs Certification Form. Some disclaimers before I begin. This form is only to be filled out by water users who are going to be continuing to divert under the curtailment exception for minimum health and safety purposes. If this situation doesn't apply to you, but you need to fill out another form, we have corresponding tutorials for each of the other forms. This video does not supersede the order or the regulation, and viewing this video isn't a replacement for reading the letter that you received, or reading the text of the regulation itself, or for viewing our helpful hints on our website. The purpose of this tutorial is just to show you how to log into the form, how to fill it out, and how to complete the form. If you've already completed one or more of the forms, some of this information may be recap, but bear with me, and you will soon reach the form-specific information quite soon. So, the very first step is to get to the portal website. This is the website that you can see on the top of my screen here. You also should have received this information if you received a curtailment letter. Once you see the same thing on your screen that I have on my screen, you'll go down to this button at the bottom left that says Log in here and click on it. This takes us to the login screen. Here's where you'll provide your login ID or water right ID and your password, also known as a reporting identifier. This is information that you should have received on your curtailment order letter. And if you report your water right information in RMS, then you would be entering that information to here. So for this tutorial, I'm going to enter some information for my login and password. That is my login ID. Now I'll enter my password. Once you've entered that, we'll click the login button. Now, the very first time that you log into our water right database here, you're going to be asked to provide your email address. Now, if you don't have an email address, that's okay. In this particular screen, you can enter any email address, including the Scott Shasta Drought at waterboards.ca.gov address that you would use if you need to ask us any questions about filling out your form or about the regulation. Now that I've provided my email address here, I'll click Continue. Once you've done that, this takes us to the water user dashboard. Here you'll see all the different forms that might be available for you to provide. If you have received a letter for Scott River groundwater diversions, you would need to fill out the Scott Parcel Curtailment Certification and Diversion Information Form. If you have a water right, and you've received a water right curtailment notice, you would fill out the Scott Shasta Curtailment Certification Form. If you are going to fill out an exception form to allow you to continue to divert water under this regulation, you would fill out either the Minimum Livestock Diversion Certification Form, the Health and Safety Needs Certification, or the Non-Consumptive Use Certification. And we have video tutorials for each of these forms that you might need to complete. Once you decide which form you want to complete, you would go over here and you'd see the survey button. Clicking this will allow you to start filling out information in the form. Clicking the summary button will allow you to see the information that you will have provided in the form, but you can't actually provide the information in this button. So we are going to click on Survey. Since we are going to fill out the Scott Shasta Health and Safety Needs Certification, we are going to go all the way over here and click this Survey button. This brings us to the introduction, which is the first page of the form. For the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to skip this information, but you will want to read this to make sure you understand what is occurring in this form. Once you've read all this information, you'll press the button that says Next. This brings you to the contact information. Here you'll provide your name and then provide contact information so that we can reach you with regard to any of the information that you provided in this form. Then, once you've provided that information, you'll press Next. One thing I'd like you to note is that once you've entered information onto this screen, or any screen, pressing the button Next or Previous will save the information in the form. If you provide information on the form, but then something occurs and you close the browser, that information will not have been saved unless you press Previous or Next. The Previous button will take you to the previous screen in the form. The Next button takes you to the next page on the form. Once we've completed this page, we'll hit Next. This brings us to the certification page for the Shasta Health and Safety Needs Certification form. Here we're going to explain what type of human health and safety diversion we are going to be using. This includes indoor domestic uses. This could also mean water used to provide grid stability. It could be water to prevent tree die-off or for reducing fire risk. It could also be water used to provide for critical air quality needs, or also to address public health and safety threats, or for other water uses necessary for human health and safety. Once you've decided which of these applies to you, you'll select the button next to that description. And here we'll provide this, saying that we're going to use indoor domestic water. Then once you've done that, you scroll down. You provide information in this box to explain how your water use fits those needs, including water needs for a household. Then we scroll down. And if we are going to be using no more than 55 gallons per person per day, we're going to explain that by reading these two topics here and deciding which of these apply to us. So if we're only going to be diverting 55 gallons per person per day or less, we will click this button here. If we're going to be diverting 55 gallons per person per day for human health and safety needs, but we're also going to be diverting under one of the other exceptions in the regulation, such as non-consumptive uses or for minimum livestock watering, we'll click this button. If we cannot certify either of these buttons, but we're continuing to divert water for human health and safety needs, that's okay. That means we need to go on to the next page and fill out a petition that will allow us to request additional water. Once you've completed this page, you click Next. This brings us to the petition page. If you're diverting under 55 gallons per person per day, you should skip this section of the form. You can scroll down and hit Next. So let me say that again. If you are able to meet your needs by diverting 55 gallons per person per day, you should not answer any of these questions on this page. If you do need a petition, though, the first thing you need to do is see this box here. This certifies that the water you are going to be diverting for human health and safety needs is only going to be for those purposes you described in the previous page. If you need to go review that information, you can press the Previous button. Next, you need to explain how much water you anticipate needing every day. This is not going to be an amount in gallons per person per day. This is going to be the total amount of water that you are going to need per day for that purpose described on the previous page. Here you're going to explain the different conservation steps you are going to be taking in order to reduce your water use, or steps you've already taken. Then you're going to explain how much time you anticipate it will take to reduce your water use down to 55 gallons per person per day. And if it's going to be impossible to do so, or if it's simply not relevant, you would explain so why in this box. Finally, on this page, you're going to be asked to enter an email address. Now, in this case, it's very important that you do provide an email address, because we are going to be letting you know whether we approve your petition or whether you'll need to amend your petition, we're going to do so through email. And so you need to provide that valid email address here. If you don't have one, you should go get an email address. If you're unable to do so, you should find someone that you trust that has an email address that you will be able to trust to provide you with information once we have responded to your petition request. Once you've filled out all this information, you can press next. This brings us to the attachment screen. So you'll want to upload any information that you have to support your certification or your petition. So if you want to provide information that shows that you are using water for grid stability, say, you would want to upload those documents by selecting the file using this button, then clicking this button that says upload. And then you would want to describe what that document is that you've uploaded. Once you've done so, click next. This brings us to the submission page. Here you'll put the name of the person signing this document, which is you in this case, and then you'll provide the relationship to the legal right holder. Now, if you are the legal right holder, you'll say self. If you are a family member, or you say have a business relationship with the legal right holder, you'd want to explain that here. And then certify, under penalty of perjury, that all the information entered into this form is true and correct to the best of your knowledge. Again, if you realize that there's information that you need to change before you submit it, you can press the previous button to get to those previous pages, and then press the next buttons to get back to this page. I am the person signing. I am that person, and I certify this is all true. If you do not provide this information, you are not allowed to submit. Once you submit this information, if you realize that it is that there is information that you would like to change, you can actually still come back to the form and change information. And once you've done so, you'll want to click this Finish and Submit button, so we will receive those changes. I'm satisfied that the information in my document is complete and true, so I'll press Finish and Submit. This brings us to our form summary. Here you'll be able to see all the responses you provided in this form. If you want to save a copy of your responses, you can click this button that says Show as PDF, and you can download that PDF to your computer. Or you can press Return to Dashboard. And that brings us back to the Water User Dashboard, where you can select a different form for you to complete. This is the end of this tutorial. I hope you have good luck filling out your form, but if you do have additional questions, remember that you can contact us via the Scott Shasta Drought at waterboards.ca.gov email address, or at the phone number for this regulation. Thank you very much, and have a good day.